check, check. All right, baby, let's get it, let's get it. It's day 2. We on that grind. Where's thy biddy? All right, guys. We're probably gonna give some more codes away today. If anybody wants some marathon codes, I guess. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hope we get more engagements today.
So, why should I learn a language with either of you? We match you with the best tutor for you.
60 days trick,
We provide you with personalized one-to-one plans.
200 days trick.
You can book lessons whenever you want and within your budget.
We have animated characters.
We have humans. You get the real human connection.
It's fun.
We're also fun, and it's also very helpful.
Well, so Pretty, Descubre a tu mejor dúo. Mejora en ese idioma con un tutor de Preply.
We probably are also going to watch. I think I was watching a small review this morning, or a little review, like a impression video of Marathon, and I thought it was just delivered so well. And I don't want to like give. I'll probably give you all my impressions at some point, but it's just going to be based on, of course, just this past day and a half, if you will. So I don't want to jump the gun too much. I watched the VOD. Y'all did way better than others. Oh, really? I felt like we had a pretty good day. I lost my blue backpack, which is the thing that hurt the most. Backpack, out of everything that I have here, the most valuable thing is the backpack, for sure. But at the same time, what I will say is that the game very much rewards teams. And I know that kind of seems like a no-brainer, but having a squad, man, helps so much, man. So much. At some point, I think this weekend, we're probably going to go in solo a number of times, because I want to see how solo play goes, and you know, see what that experience is like. Like Apex is a team game. Yeah, team game to a sense of like team synergy. You know, what you're bringing in, that shit really matters. Solo is fun. I would say the only thing about solos is probably, I would assume, is scary as fuck. To be honest. All right, so claim. Valuables can be found in all zones. Exfil valuables, SciAC treasures. What's my rank at? I'm ranked 10, almost 11. So if I go over here, let me take a look at this. If I go to loadout, I go to armory, I take a look at this backpack. It says requires upgrade Cyber Acme Carrier Plus. Okay? Then I go to factions. We need to look for Carrier Plus. Okay, I need cyber rank 15. And then we have deluxe backpacks for purchase. All right, we'll probably get that today. The only issue, I mean, we get into server slam. We don't have any more priority contracts here.
Cremosa. Muy suave. Club Colombia Trigo. Únicamente aquí.
La vejez es muy dura. Toca saber sobrellevarlo.
Bogotá tiene muchos programas sociales, pero hay uno con un impacto humano que creo es el más especial, y es el apoyo que hemos tenido entre Integración Social y la Secretaría Distrital de Salud para conformar una estrategia que se denomina los servicios sociosanitarios.
Acá en la localidad de Kennedy. Este servicio es un primer paso para transformar el sistema de protección social y prepararnos para los retos del cambio demográfico. Estamos uniendo esfuerzos para mezclar acciones de atención en salud con acciones de cuidado.
Me he sentido muy contento porque me han atendido muy bien. Sí, sí vale la pena. Me parece que el ambiente y todo lo que se está haciendo está bien.
Fue como el alcalde Carlos Fernando Galán nos pidió generar una estrategia que diera solución a esta problemática, todo lo que tiene un hogar con lo sanitario, las terapias, las medicinas, los exámenes que tenemos que realizar en unos sitios especializados para ese cuidado que tienen estas vulneraciones. El distrito de Bogotá está para ayudar. Una estrategia única en Colombia y modelo para todo el país.
Aquí sí pasa. Bogotá, mi ciudad, mi casa. Alcaldía Mayor de Bogotá.
I need priority contracts. And vault space. I got no vault space. Solo sucks ass. Assassin noobs are everywhere waiting for you to engage the NPCs. Solo's rough. New caloric might be the meta. Get blue shields. That's rank 20. Yeah, I would say you cannot. I mean, you can, but if you play Marathon, you need to like be dedicated to upgrading your factions. Like factions are everything. They like all the stuff that becomes available for you once you've ranked up enough is massive. You have access to so much stuff, almost to a point where you will be fully kitted every time you die, which really makes me wonder how into the season it's going to look. You know, once you have all this shit, you might just be in a situation you just like kit yourself out over. If you gotta have the money. But you kit yourself out over and over, run in with gold mods and whatnot. UI needs to be scrapped and started over from scratch. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about.
Sí, se ven más de 320.000 tutelas que los colombianos presentamos para poder recibir atención en salud. Este sistema no cuida la vida, nos obliga a hacer una fila hacia la muerte. Si estás cansado de que te digan que esperes, vota por el 105 a la Cámara por Bogotá del Partido Verde. Tu turno es ya.
A mí me encantan los retos, que los retos siempre te hacen ser mejor, siempre te vas a exigir. Cuando sale muy bien, triunfas y te va muy bien en cualquier ámbito.
Que me hace sentir creativo en esta casa, hay todo. Siento que es un área que me ha permitido ser yo misma y que botar ideas locas.
Es un hobby que en realidad viene desde muy chiquito, gracias a mi familia y a mis papás que desde chiquito me inculcaron el deporte.
Areas that I feel like, I don't know. Do we want to talk about this right now? I guess we could talk about this. All right, we'll talk about it right now. I've spent roughly, I don't know, 12 hours yesterday playing this game, and we're going to be jumping back in for day 2 of Marathon. And so I would say this is a very rough first impression of my experience with Marathon. I have not played anything between last year's alpha and what we have played here at this very moment in the server slam. So visually, right out the gate, the game is way, way better looking. Last year during the alpha, I think all of us shared the same opinion that the game felt just unpolished, unfinished. I know like the reasoning was like the art style. I think that was, but it just didn't resonate. You know what I mean? Even if you said that was the art style, it was not a good art style. It was not a good creative direction. Where they have gone visually with things now, at least in regards to the areas, the maps, exteriors, it's way, way better. Way better. Now, my experience day 1, we kind of hit the ground running. We've pretty much loaded out every single time with our best stuff. And one complaint that I've seen from a lot of people, and it's a very valid complaint, is they are not running into enough PvP engagements. And I've seen some of the reasonings behind it. Some people have posted on things like Twitter or even their YouTube videos that essentially saying that right now inexperienced players don't know where the PvP hotspots are. But Bungie themselves even came out and said that a huge reason why people are not seeing as much on the PvP side is because the PvE enemies are killing people before those people can run into other people. And I have not played solo. So this weekend, we're going to be jumping in. We're going to play with Rook, and we're primarily going to play solo getting into the weekend. And I want to see what that experience is like. I will say that the PvE enemies are very difficult. Because it's not like, you get downed and then the PvE enemy leaves you alone. No, they down you and then they chase you down and then they suck you off and you die. You know what I mean? Like there's just like nothing you could do about it. Like even with a group, even with Frost and Benny right there next to me, PV enemies were shitting on us. You know what I mean? Like, to the point, I'd say to the point where I don't even leave my teammate's side. You know, like other games, like you'll kind of like branch off. You're like, I'll go check out this room. Oh, let me go walk over here. Let me go look over. No. At least not yet. Maybe when you get kitted out, maybe. In this game, no. If you look around the corner, you're like, oh, there's an ad right there. Be prepared. Because Big Dick is probably waiting behind him. That's the big purple shielded fucker that's going to get ready to fuck you and your entire squad. And you might be able to 1v1 them, but the moment they get really aggressive and they push you and they immediately just, you know what I mean? Especially when they hit you with the melee, it's a good chance you're dead. So what I'm really trying to say is that the PvE enemies in this game are very aggressive. They're very reactive, almost jarringly so. Because they go, like the way they move. I swear, there's been so many times I've called out UESC enemies and thought to myself that they were players. Because the way they move looks like a player. And so I just would suggest for all players, solo or teams, is to treat all PvE enemies like you would with the hardest team you've gone up against. Like go out. If you see your teammate that's like shooting a couple PvE ads, don't be like, oh, he's got that. No, don't be a dick. Help him. He needs help. Whether he's saying on the comms he needs help or not, he will need help. Now, having a dangerous role like that is by design. Bungie wanted this role to feel dangerous, and so they've accomplished that. The world feels dangerous. Now, whether there's enough variability in the world, that remains to be seen. And that's where the other maps are going to come into play. And what I mean by that is you don't really have a lot of different enemy types. You know, they're all UESC enemies, at least on these first two maps. I know there's supposed to be stuff beyond this. We'll have the other maps. This is just a server slam. And a lot of the complaints I've seen with, you know, Marathon server slam, it's something I even saw during Arc Raiders server slam. If y'all remember, we just had the single map there for Arc Raiders, and a lot of people got kind of bored, almost like burnt out with the server slam there for Arc Raiders. And so I wouldn't be surprised if a similar thing happened here with Marathon, but then the full game comes out. It'll come out next week, right? Let's talk time to kill. I didn't actually think this was going to be a thing we would even discuss too much. I felt like that TTK values were probably going to be relatively the same.
Los jóvenes están cansados y la desilusión se volvió un paisaje, pero este no es el momento de buscar culpables. El país no necesita más señalados. Los jóvenes necesitan soluciones, necesitan oportunidades reales. La educación y el empleo digno permiten el vuelo de nuestros jóvenes. Vamos a acompañarlos, generando oportunidades y educación para que se abran sus alas y puedan progresar. Eso es lo que hay que hacer.
I thought it was going to be relatively the same to what it was last year during the alpha. Time to kill in this game is very fast. They sped things up. Now, granted, we have, you know, gray, green, and at best blue shields. I think Frost had a purple shield, but even with the purple shield, who is in my room? Oh, okay, all right. No, it's good to see you. Good to see you guys. I was hearing noises. I was like, who?
So sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm done now.
All right, no problem, guys. All right, so time to kill. I didn't think TTK was going to shift too much from the alpha, but it's definitely shifted, guys. The time to kill is fast. And there are pros and cons to that. Con number one, If you're out there and you're like, I'm just going to go grab that one little item out there or that one little bag out there, or check that one loot source, and someone shoots you while you're looting, if they just have even slightly good aim, you dead, man. I mean, unless you got a means of going, I mean, maybe invisible, maybe a destroyer shield, but if you're like out in the open for even a second, and you think you're gonna loot that source, and someone lights you up, TTK is fast enough, they will shred you. But there's also a pro to that. If you're the last living member on your team, Frostbolt had a 1v3 yesterday. It was such a good 1v3. He was the last person on the team alive. And he was able to 1v3. Now, I'm not saying that he couldn't have done it with a lengthier time to kill. But being a shorter time to kill allowed him to get those easy picks, right? And with that TTK value in mind, you do have the potential to take out an entire squad. Granted, things are going to change whenever people get better loot, of course, right? And especially when we get into like gold gear and whatnot. So, but the time to kill is noticeably faster. Sweet spot for me, at least in the Destiny space, has always been around like that 0.8 second time mark. This is faster than that, or at least feels faster than that. So now, gunplay. A lot of the gunplay you experience in Marathon is going to feel very familiar to a Destiny player. When I say familiar, I'm talking 1-to-1. The BXR, let me pull it up. This weapon, this BR-33 volley rifle, brother, that is Redrix. That is BXR. I cannot express just how 1-to-1 this weapon is to Destiny. It is almost identical, and honestly shoots just as good, if not better, here in Marathon. Bungie likes pulse rifles. Bungie also likes shotguns. Shotguns are very strong in this game, dude. Like, stupid strong. Even with high shields, someone can walk around the corner and like purple shields and will drop you with this shotgun right here. It just literally 2-tap, bam, bam. So Bungie has always liked shotgun. Kind of reminds me of like, you know, Destiny 1 or even like Destiny 2 back when we had like Fellwinter and it was meta and it was killing people at 9.5, 10 meters. Same concept here. They've made shotguns very, very strong.
Me quiero refrescar y pasarla bonito. El parcha que es real y con Andina es más rico. Es la más refrescante, te lo dice el bendito. Lo importante es el corazón, no te dejes llevar de lo físico. Andino lo hace diferente. Para un parche real, una cerveza real, bien, bien fría. Es Andina.
¿Ves cómo vuelve el miedo a los pueblos que ya habían recuperado la tranquilidad? ¿Familias desplazadas otra vez por grupos armados? La seguridad no se negocia, se garantiza. Con Uribe en el Senado, defendemos cada rincón de Colombia. Este 8 de marzo marca el logo del Centro Democrático.
They did say they wanted the guns to feel familiar. Yeah. So, complaint number one, though, that I've seen going around is not enough PvP engagements. The comments made on Bungie on that is that people are just getting shredded by PvE enemies. Does that mean you go in there and you nerf PvE enemies? No, I don't think you do that either. Maybe at best you add an extra team or something like that to the map if you're looking to get PvP engagements. I don't know what the matchmaking is like in this game. I don't know if there's like a gear-based matchmaking or not. I did notice that when we went in fully kitted with really good stuff, we tend to run into players that were pretty good. With engagements being spaced out the way it is, though, Marathon kind of lulls you into, I would say, like into bad habits, if you will. Like, you kind of get used to, like, you see a rook, and I know everybody's going to hate that we say this, but we killed every rook. Not a single rook did we not. Every rook we saw, we killed. They're loot pinatas. They're the solo scavenger player. And if you kill one, they normally got good stuff. There was one rook we thought about sparing, but Frostbolt had already killed him. And when we went to go look, He had like purple weapons. He had like blue backpacks. I mean, the man was loaded, dude. I mean, loaded. So from that point on, we're gonna kill. I'm gonna kill every rook. You know what I mean? So the rooks are doing what they're supposed to do. They're scavenging quite effectively, and so that every time I see a rook, I'm gonna kill. But you get lulled into running into rooks. Like you'll get lulled into a rook. You get lulled into like maybe a low skilled team, and so like the engagements will go from like going up against people that. Obviously, it's a new game, of course, but going against people that obviously aren't wanting to PvP or don't know how to PvP well, to suddenly, oh shit, we're in the fight of our lives. We're up against fucking high elo, double, triple diamond, you know what I mean? And like, shit hits the fan, and it hits the fan so fast. There's no time for recovery. There's not like all right, whoa, we're in this situation right now. Let me position myself. Let me pull out some. No, you're already dead. You're dead. And you don't really know until one of your teammates just got immediately melted. You know what I'm saying? And so what I mean by that, in order to effectively play Marathon, you have to treat every engagement like you were up against the best players in the world. Which is a bit stressful, you know? Even that rook, you need to treat it. When I say treat it, I notice my team doesn't make appropriate call-outs. When they're up against, they see a rook or they see, maybe it's a team of two, but they're not really that stressed about it. You got to treat everything like you're up against the best team of three of your life. Because the moment you let your guard down, someone's going to get you and they're going to take your shit, An aspect that I do like is that you do always have a chance of coming back. Even if your teammate gets fully knocked, if you rat long enough, you can make your way back and you can get that res, you know what I mean? And as a triage, which is what I played all day yesterday, I was able to come back a couple times and get my teammates up. This is not a game that you can hit the bong and then play. I mean, unless you just get a lot better.
Friday means time to get your boots
when you're high,
folks. As to Lola,
but me personally, no, that's. I would never play this game high. Never. It seems extra scary. That's what I did. The fuck. I mean, look, if you're a better player, then sure. I would be so paranoid playing this game. But there was only, I know what Bungie's trying to do with their shells, right? What they're really wanting to do is like, once they introduce Thief, of course, it's like they want tough decisions to happen. They want you to decide what the best team synergy is going to be for you and your squad. This may even change map to map. What we found in our experience is that recon, very, very good. Almost a must. Triage. Almost a must. And then your third is just whatever you want, really. We'll see how that shakes out in the full game. Hold on one second.
Todos percibimos los 7 síntomas del reflujo y la pesadez de manera diferente. La causa puede ser los ácidos estomacales. Sin importar cómo tú lo sientas, Gaviscon Doble Acción neutraliza el exceso de ácido y crea una barrera que impide que estos suban al esófago, brindando así un alivio rápido y duradero. Para 7 síntomas del reflujo y la pesadez, elige Gaviscon.
With that being said, I think some players or some shells are going to just be better for solo. Like, for instance, I would assume Assassin is probably going to be the most used solo shell out there. And then, of course, when you're talking teams of three, that's when you're going to start to see the team synergies. The only unfortunate part I found, and it was because we didn't really have too many PvP engagements where we got to like really, really flex all of our abilities because things happen so fast. A lot of the gunfights are, well, decided just with your guns right there on the spot. You know what I mean? There was only like a handful of times, I would say yesterday, where I felt like our team synergies really came together to have like, you know, that pivotal turning moment where we turned it on another team. There was a moment yesterday where the squad got dropped. We were trying to take out a gold shield boss, and I backed up. Luckily, I was the last one still alive, and I used my triage ult, and I res both Frost and Benny up. And that was a really cool moment. And we were able to jump back in that fight, wipe the team. It was hectic. It was crazy. But I think where Arc Raiders is compared here, Arc Raiders, the fights in those games last much longer. Time to kill and whatnot, but it's also third person. When you pull up an Arc Raider stream, you're looking at a team of three versus a team of three versus potentially another team of three. Everybody's like hanging around the walls, around the corners. Everybody's like, you know what I mean? So like you have this moment there where I think as a viewer, you can kind of dissect or at least interpret what's happening in front of you, right? Marathon doesn't really offer that, at least, you know, to the casual player, because things just happen faster. They just happen a lot faster. So some of you have even said like the viewing experience wasn't that fun to you. I think that may be part of it, because gunfights can just be concluded so fast, right? Now, the experience we're having today with Marathon is in its base form, right? And I'm not even talking about the game being fully out. I'm talking about me running around with green implants, green cores, at best some blues, right? How is this going to change when I'm fully kitted in golds? Or at least purples? How are things going to change when I have gold cores and gold implants, as we've seen the different, you know, synergies and build crafting elements on that front? That's where I think the game could scale up in a great way, both from a player's perspective, but also from a viewing perspective. At the same time, with those gold implants, or in this case, gold weapons, I would assume our lethality is only going to increase. So even with gold shields, time to kill may not change all that much. It may still be just as fast. You know what I mean? Because like the efficacy of your weapons are only going to increase. So I wouldn't see a big departure from the TTK that you're seeing here right now. That's how Tarkov is as well. Yeah. Tarkov is very fast. I mean, I've only played Tarkov once. But Tarkov is, I don't know. I didn't even know, like, sometimes with Tarkov, I didn't even know I was dead until I was dead. You know what I mean? It was just like that fast.
Me llamo Sherlock Holmes. Soy más un pensador que un luchador.
Tengo curiosidad por saber por qué la trampa. Lo vamos a resolver juntos.
Si empieza este año de padrillo, llega la promo hasta abajo. Domino mediana. Hasta abajo, hasta abajo, hasta abajo, hasta abajo, hasta abajo.
Pide 2 dominos medianas o más por 18,900 cada una. Disfrútalas para recoger o en nuestras tiendas. ¡Dominos!
I heard the UI is bad. Well, here's the thing with the UI. There's just too much of the same looking stuff. Like, for instance, right here, these different enhanced chip mods. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of items. Like, you could tell that that's a Destroyer Shell Deluxe core, right? But like, it's a bit samey, right? And I get the frustration with it. A lot of people are like, what does this item do? What is this item? I'm sure over time, like, we'll be able to color coordinate, and to the naked eye, we'll immediately know, you know, what each of these items are. But I get the complaint on the UI side, right? I understand where you guys are coming from on that. And then as far as like in-game UI though, like actually playing, I'm not really bothered by it. I think if you're like looking for immersion, maybe Bungie should add a setting or something like that where as soon as your stuff is no longer on cooldown, maybe your UI hides itself. Like if you're looking for that immersion, right? And I got to give it to Arc Raiders. I think Arc Raiders has really nailed immersion. So it's just maybe on Marathon side right here, have a hybrid UI system, if you will. It's bad on controller. I've not played on controller. I have no idea what it's like on controller. One thing I will mention, and again, these are all just first impressions. I will have a deep review come this weekend. But I noticed people talking about menus. And I gotta agree with you guys. As someone who plays Destiny, it ain't even just the portal. All right, it's the triumphs, it's the titles. Bungie has, like, they love menus, dude. I mean, they will menu it up, brother. They will put menus within menus, you know. And I understand, you know, some of the views here on all of the different menus, or I guess in some cases menu fatigue. It's not that it's overly complicated. Like when you go over to factions, none of this is overly complicated. If anything, it's incredibly simple. It's just, it's a menu though. You know, it's a menu.
A mí me encantan los retos, que los retos siempre te hacen ser mejor, siempre te vas a exigir. Cuando sale muy bien, triunfas y te va muy bien en cualquier ámbito.
Que me hace sentir creativo en esta casa, hay todo. Siento que es un área que me ha permitido ser yo misma y que botar ideas locas.
Es un hobby que en realidad viene desde muy chiquito, gracias a mi familia y a mis papás que desde chiquito me inculcaron el deporte.
Algunos dicen que las mujeres no somos capaces de apoyarnos entre nosotros. Les quiero probar que están equivocados, porque mujer vota mujer. Mujeres, este 8 de marzo, pidan el tarjetón de la consulta. Voten por Paloma Valencia a la presidencia, que yo voy a trabajar y trabajar para demostrar que las mujeres hacemos las cosas bien.
Publicidad política pagada.
You got to go through your codex and get gear and cosmetics. Yeah, so here's the thing. This is kind of a Destiny problem, you guys, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. I know we're supposed to do factions like Arachne right here to increase vault space, all right? But your man's already out of vault space, dude. I was max on vault space within the first 2 hours of playing yesterday. And I'm just going to throw it out here, Bungie. You may want... Look at this. Look, this is my postmaster right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe increase the base vault space just a little bit. That's a you problem? Oh, my God. I personally don't think we have enough vault space. You know, this is my opinion, which is the right opinion. And you fuckers that are saying it's a hoarding problem, all that tells me is you got shit on and you lost your loot. That's all that's telling me right now. Anyways, I would suggest upping the vault space. At least a little bit. You know what I mean? Just at least a little bit. Bro got a great weapon. I'm saving. It's a bully, man. It's a bully. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention is this. Some of you are looking at kind of sentiment online, which is completely fine. And I feel like a lot of you are like trying to like grab onto an opinion. You're like, well, what's the opinion? What's the consensus here? The game is free right now. It's a server slam. It's not the full game. Just try it out for yourself. That's just my suggestion on that one. Try it out for yourself. Kind of, don't force it. Just see where your experience, how that shakes out, and kind of formulate your own thoughts on it. Everybody. I'm not saying that the game isn't receiving unwarranted hate. There are definitely aspects that need to be improved. But it's completely free this weekend, and give it a go. See how it goes. I actually remember watching Arc Raiders, and there was a lot of buzz even during the server slam, but there was also some complaints because people were just getting kind of bored just playing on the same map over and over. But if you remember Arc Raiders, the game when it came out, like it was hype, but then it just continued to climb. So the most important thing for me with Marathon is not necessarily what the highest peak concurrent player is going to be. It's, is there going to be retention? Is there going to be a steady climb, if any climb at all, or just a hold, if you will? You know what I mean? That's going to tell the full story. We'll see what the numbers look like going into the weekend. But I think a lot of this is going to rest on overall progression. What's the in-game aspect of your shells once you're fully kitted, and then what's the other two maps? How are they going to play? I think right now we're essentially having the same experience we had last year with Alpha, but with, of course, a much more upgraded paint job with the visuals, which is appreciated, a faster time to kill, and of course the rook shells being thrown in there. We'll mess around with solo play going into the weekend and seeing how solos play out. But yeah, man, I mean, a lot of it kind of rests on what those other two maps bring to the table. I hate the fast time to kill. Solo is tough.
Me quiero refrescar y pasarla bonito. El parcha que es real y con andina es más rico. Es la más refrescante, te lo dice el bendito. Lo importante es el corazón, no te dejes llevar de lo físico. Andino lo hace diferente. Para un parche real, una cerveza real, bien fría, es andina.
Honor Magic 8 Lite, el equipo de Falcao, el equipo de los colombianos.
I pray that it stays as hardcore as it is. Let it be sweaty, please. Every engagement without killer instincts is scary. Orlando with the dono. Thank you. I think that is, that's exactly what Bungie is targeting here. We'll see if it resonates in the long run. Think about who Joe Ziegler is. His background is Valorant, right? And so they're trying to make this competitive extraction shooter. We'll see if it plays out well. You know what I mean? First thing I can do is remove the stakes of the gameplay. They're going to add more spawns, so there will be more PvP. TTK needs to be slowed down. Yeah, I will say this on the topic of being a competitive extraction shooter. It is a It's a bold strategy because what's already a niche genre to begin with, and then the competitive aspect on top of it. At the same time, you know, I can see myself playing many, many hours to get high-end loot, to have those super high-stress moments where things get very, very sweaty. And I'm looking forward to those. It's going to suck when you lose all your shit, but Bungie's answer to losing all of your shit is, as you upgrade these factions, you're just eventually going to be able to buy not everything, but a lot of everything. Look at it, like you got gold mods, you know what I mean? This implant, you got purples here, you got other golds here. Like the idea is as you're going to upgrade your factions enough where even if you do lose everything, you're almost going to be able to kind of like jump back in, man. If you got the money, you're going to be able to really just jump back in and at least be able to compete. I'm really curious about the rank system that Bungie is supposed to be bringing, because that's going to require a gear ante. And I don't even know what that amount is going to look like, and if that's going to change rank to rank or not.